Hey, welcome to part 2 of my musculoskeletal anatomy video. Um, Sorry if it's running a little long. I'm hoping I'm making it worth your while. If you didn't see my part 1, please go to the search bar, type in Flurgy McHurgy musculoskeletal review part 1, and you'll find it right there. Um, if if you don't care to see part 1 or part 2, maybe I say something funny. I don't know. Um, it's totally your right to choose. And please comment below on how things you think I could do differently, things you want to see done. I do more than just tutoring and review. I do literally anything you guys ask for that I'm comfortable with. Remember, I'm just starting out at the time of this video. Please remember to like, comment, share, subscribe if you want to see more. Like if you liked this video. And with that said, let's on with the show. So you may have noticed that if you watched my last, I'm going to assume that you've watched my last video by this point. If you haven't, your loss, I guess. It'll be harder for you to understand what's going on, but you'll notice that the whole rest of this person is gone. Over here, one can turn off or turn on different parts of a model. So I've turned off all of the bones except the one in the left arm, and all of the muscles except the ones in the left arm. So because for the first part of this video, I'm gonna have to focus. You know what? Let's turn off the upper arm because I've already done that. And let's turn off the bones of let's turn off that and that. But you know what? Let's leave these because those are still relevant. So, you know what? Let's turn those back on. Those bones are apparently still just one of them. All right. So, we have the forearm. This is the anterior side, like seeing it from the front in the anatomical position. Remember, anatomical is with arms out and with thumbs to the side. So this would be the front of the arm as seen in the anatomical position, and therefore it's the anterior or the front. And so we don't need to know all of these muscles. That would be scary. But we do need to know a couple of them, and those are the pronator teres, which you see before you, which attaches to the medial epicondyle of the humerus, right? Yeah. So the epicondyle, remember an epicondyle is this little knob on top of the knob of the humerus, if you watched my skeletal review. And this is the epicondyle more towards the center of the body, so it's medial or more to the middle. So the medial epicondyle of the humerus we have all these muscles in the way. That's okay. I can cut them away. Bing. Basically, I just turned it off one at a time. So I would like to show you, by having done that not only does this have its insertion, mind you, this is the one on the origin. This is the one that moves the least. The origin is on the medial epicondyle of the humerus, and its insertion, or the end that moves around the most, is on the lateral part of the radius. Remember, the radius is the one that Mr. Wardlaw says is rad, so it's the one that's on this side of your arm. So on the lateral part of your radius is the part that is not medial, is away from the middle of your body, so it's this side right here. Just trying to help you remember for later. And if it doesn't matter, I am helping them hanging stuff. But if not, oh well. The other muscle we need to know on the front of the forearm, and yes, there are only two, is the flexor carpi radialis. Yeah, flexor carpi radialis, and that's this one. So it goes again from the the medial epicondyle of the humerus, same spot as the pronator teres, all the way down to, let's look at this end. Whee! I'm turning off my dissect so I can zoom in closer on this side. I'm going to center on this bone right here. Now I'm going to zoom out so that we can see that the carpi radialis, and you can't see it. You can't see it. Ugh, frustrating. All right, whatever. Looks like we're just going to have to turn off your hand. Let's see. Left. We're going to need to leave on the left metacarpals, but we're going to need to turn off the phalanges and the carpals. And we're also going to need to turn off all these diddly darn muscles that are in your hand. So let's see. They're turned off. All right, so now you see that very clearly where the left flexor carpi radialis, or the flexor carpi radialis, it goes on around your radius and attaches to your second and third metacarpals. That's the super long bones in your hands that go to your pointy and middle fingers. It goes to the bottom of these metacarpals right here. So it goes beep-ding here. So that's the insertion of this muscle. All right, you can have your hand muscles back. All right, turning off all of the muscles of the left forearm and turning them all back on again. And now I think I'm going to turn back on the carpals just for good measure. And now we're talking about the back of your forearm. I think I'll leave the phalanges off, though. They're not really necessary anymore. So next is the brachioradialis. I know it sounds really, really sinister when I say it like that, but it's not. So the brachioradialis. All right. So this is the muscle in your forearm that goes up the highest on your humerus. So you see this ridge, this line of bone above your condyles over on the bottom part? This ridge of bone is called the lateral supracondylar ridge, or it's on the side away from your body, and it's above these condyles. So superior or supracondylar. So on your supracondylar ridge, all the way to the styloid process of your radius. See this radius? This lovely red radius? There's this little styloid process. So in my skeletal review video, I made the mistake of saying there is only two styloid processes and they're back here. Instead, styloid processes are processes or sticks of bone jutting out from another bone that look like spears. Who says they look like spears? Well, stylus is the Latin word for spear, and styloid means like a spear. So if it's a process that is pointy and pokey and looks vaguely like a spear, it's a styloid process somewhere. Don't ask me, I didn't name it. Okay? Anyway, so yeah, the styloid process on your radius and your lateral supracondylar ridge on your humerus. That's your brachioradialis. Your arm radial bone. Radius bone. I don't know. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. I'm learning too. And next we have the clear the search, dude. Thank you. We have the extensor. That's or carpi radialis longus. It's the second longest bone. Not bone. This isn't the bone. It's the second longest muscle in your forearm. Oh, actually, I believe it's the longest because it also goes all the way down here. So it's the longest muscle in your forearm. It goes second highest on your humerus, going to a little bit lower on the lateral supracondylar ridge of your humerus. You already know what the lateral supracondylar ridge is. I hope you watched when I explained it. It goes all the way there, all the way around here, and its job is the extension, or the extensor. It extends. So it goes all the way to your second metacarpal, or the metacarpal, this bone right here at the base. This bone, the metacarpal on your pointy finger is your second metacarpal, so it goes there. And yes, it also shares insertion points with your flexor carpi radialis. So remember, this is your extensor and this is your flexor. The difference between flexion and extension is this. So when I do this, this is a flexation. No, this is an extension. This is a flexion. Maybe I have it backwards, but one is one and the other is other. Wait, let's find out. Extends. So I'm on another tab and I'm looking up extension versus flexion. And it's loading. And the words are: extension is the opposite of flexion. We already knew that. Describing a straightening movement that increases the angle between body parts. We knew that. Okay. Extension means movement in the posterior direction, so back. So this is extension. This is extension. The lifting of your foot is extension. The looking up is extension. Anything that moves part of your body more towards the back of your body is extension. More towards the forward is flexion. So when we say that this is the extensor carpi radialis, and it's the longest, that means it's the one moving your arm like this, or at least it helps. When we say the other one is the flexor, it's the one that helps you do this. And while I'm certain that the extensor carpi radialis longus would like the pleasure of being the only extensor carpi radialis. It is not. There is the longus, and there is the ulnaris, and radialis brevis. But the radialis brevis is weird. It's on the next page. It's not on the next page, is it? Okay. You know what? We don't need to know the extensor carpi radialis brevis. We need to know the extensor carpi radialis ulnaris. So it's left extensor carpi ulnaris. So it's not radialis, it's ulnaris because it's along your ulna, your karate chop bone. You know what? From now on, there will be a joke. And the joke will be, Ulna likes karate chop, and she uses her ulna a lot. So the one that is this muscle is very attached to ulna. It's got a very worrying psychological attachment to ulna. So much so it's named itself after her. But in any case, it attaches to your fifth metacarpal. That's the one under your pinky, and all the way on the other side. All right, this button does the dissection, and I'm going to get rid of that. And attaches all the way to oh, hello. So this one is very attached to ulna, remember? It's attached to the back of ulna. It only likes looking at her from the back, whatever. But in all seriousness, guys, the extensor carpi ulnaris is literally attached to the back of the ulna, the posterior part of the ulna bone, and it's also attached to the lat. It's attached right here to the ulna, actually. Down here, it's attached to your fifth metacarpal. It's attached over here to the posterior or the back of your ulna, and also to the lateral epicondyle of the humerus, or the epicondyle away from your body on the humerus, right there. And with half the video over, maybe more, we're finally done with the forearm. But feel free to watch this video over and over again, maybe for entertainment. Here's hoping it's for entertainment. I try to be funny. But I'm not perfect, and sometimes I'm just tired and boring. But aside from entertainment, hopefully it's also valuable to you for learning and practice and maybe helping you pass your exams. I don't know. All right. That said, we're going to turn back on the whole of the skeletal system, and we're going to turn off the muscular system and turn it all back on. Yay! All right, and we're going to... Oi, stop it. Muscular system. Turn off dissection. Muscular system. All right. You know what? I'm just going to center it. Yep. All right. Zooming out. And look, he's a face. And now he has no face. All right. So, stopping the pan so that I can turn this thing up. Now we're looking at the pectoral girdle. That's this up here, this chest stuff. So right here, this is your pectoralis major. But if we cut it away, right underneath it will be your pectoralis minor. This is your pectoralis minor. This is your pectoralis major. Remember, the major is the bigger one, minor is the smaller one, and the pectoralis, because they're on your pectoral or your pecs. For females, or human females at least, the pectoralis also covers an amount of mammary tissue or your breasts, so that should help you remember. Next, we should talk about the intercostals. I could do a whole video going over the entirety of the intercostals, but I'll try not to. I shouldn't have to. So inter means between, and costal, if you would know if you watched some of my skeletal videos, but if you didn't, that's okay. Costal means rib. So when we say intercostal, we're talking about these ones. So you have internal intercostals and external intercostals. One helps you breathe in, one helps you breathe out, one helps you breathe in. And they're important because without them, you will not breathe. Or, well, technically you have a diaphragm, but that's inside and you wouldn't breathe nearly so well. And not to mention, these are more powerful when it comes to breathing, by a lot. So that's your pectoral girdle. Next, we should talk. Next one in the packet. Moving away from the pectoral girdle, the thoracic wall. Sorry, I just did this thoracic wall, not the pectoral girdle. I'm doing the pectoral girdle now. This is the pectoral girdle, or at least the biggest one. Nope, not the biggest one, but the one on your arm, and it's called your deltoid. Why is it called the deltoid, you may ask? Well, you see, it's a triangle. And in the Greek alphabet, the letter that looks like a triangle is called the delta. So since this muscle is a triangle, it's called the deltoid. So it's like a triangle. Oh dear. Did I go over the attachments and the attachment points for the major, minor, and intercostals? Well, I can do that now. So for the intercostals, they just go from the top of one to the bottom of the from the top of one to the bottom of the next. Or for the external and for the internal, they go from the bottom of one to the top of the next. But then again, it's all very relative, and you don't really need to know which is which. It's just they're between your ribs, and they attach between the ribs. For your pectoralis, for your pectorals, you need to remember that they attach. The pectoralis major attaches along your sternum. It attaches along the sternal end of your clavicle or your collarbone under here. It also attaches to ribs 1 through 6 up here. And it also attaches to the greater tubercle on your humerus. That's the big bump on your humerus. Let's cut away all this. Actually, we don't need to because we can see the humerus right there. See? It goes right there. So from right here to right there. For your pectoralis minor, it attaches to ribs 3 through 5. 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 3 through 5, and again to your greater tubercle. No, wait, not to your. Actually, looks like your pectoralis minor doesn't attach to your humerus at all. It attaches. It's not very funny, you see. It's not attached to your humerus. It's attached instead to the coronoid process on your scapula. That's one of the spikes on your scapula. Not the one here, but the one here. This is your acromion. This is your coinoid. Remember, acromion means shoulder. Speaking of acromion, it's also one of the attachment points for your deltoid. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The acromion is the master point of the shoulder, and not only does it do the deltoid, it does most of the other shoulder muscles as well, as including this one called the trapezius, which we'll talk about a lot more later. Not much later. So your deltoid is called a deltoid because it's a triangle. It's along your shoulder. It's attached to this third of the collarbone, the third further away, the lateral end. This third of your clavicle is your deltoid's rather attached to. It's scarily fond of it. Joke. It's also attached to the spine of your scapula. You too are attached to a spine, but hopefully not this spine, because remember, this spine is a ridge of bone, and your spine is a ridge of many, 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 many different bones. But then again, should be attached to both of them. Just this one should not be your main spine. In any case, so your deltoid is attached to this spine on your scapula, your acromial end, and the lateral end of the lateral 1/3 of your clavicle, and it's also attached to a tuberosity on the humerus set aside for it. It's guess what? It's called the. You said it, yeah, you in the corner. You said the deltoid tuberosity on the humerus. It's that bump right here that this muscle is attached to, and no other muscle, because it's. Look at how fat this muscle is. There's not enough room. All right, next we'll talk about the trapezius, like I said. So the trapezius, arguably one of the biggest sheets of muscle in your body, competing for size only with the latissimus dorsi over here. Your trapezius attaches to the occipital bone, or the skull plate on the back of your head, and it also attaches. It's actually not attached right here, except it starts attaching here. From the last cervical, your last vertebrae on your neck, or C7, to T12, all the way down your thoracic vertebrae. So all these 13 vertebrae are attached to your trapezius. It's also it just like your deltoid is attached to the lateral 1/3 of your clavicle, the acromial end of your scapula, and the spine of the scapula. And why is it called a trapezius? Well, because if you were to flatten it, see how it's kind of curved over your shoulder? Well, if you flatten it, this side, there's a little bit of a side here, and this side, it would be 4 angles, and it looks vaguely like a trapezoid, because this side and this side look parallel like a trapezoid. Let's see if I can. Yeah, like that's a really bad trapezoid. But yeah, if you flatten it, it looks like a trapezoid, so it's a trapezius. Now your latissimus dorsi, if you're any sort of athlete who cares about his lats, these are your lats. They're your latissimus dorsi, and they attach on your vertebrae, the spinous processes, mind you, the ones on the back, just like here. Your trapezius is also attached to the back. Hey, I'm almost done. Of T7 through T12, and T7 through T12, and also on your iliac crest, that's the part of your pelvis, I'll show you later, and also on the inferior angle of your scapula down here. And it's also attached to the intertubular groove of your humerus, so on the tubercles on your humerus, there's a little notch between them. Your lats are attached there on that. All right, next video we'll talk about the as many other bones as I can. But for now, peace out.